Dear friends, glad to see you all again on Feygin Live. It's 16th of July, 3 minutes past 10 Kiev time, and as usual, we're making another stream, day 143 with Olexiy Arestovych. Glad to see you, Olexiy. Good evening. We have 135,000 watching us live. Yes, how many of them left their likes? I got more than 24,000 of those. That's good, but please continue clicking like and subscribe to Feygin Live, to Alexei's channel, if you're watching that in English, to the privateer station. If you click on the links that are highlighted in the title, you can follow Alexei's or Mark's channels as well. So subscribe to those if you can as well. Alright, so let's start as usual with the situation on the front. Today we saw Russian Minister of Defense, Shoigu. He was moving a pencil over the map, pretending that he understands where north and south is. So Olexiy, tell us, what is he doing there? Probably they're going to plan their offensive. And this is basically the information support of the next step of this warfare. We have one another intel officer who made a forecast from the words of Mamush that Putin's plan is to sit down and discuss the ownership of already captured territories and the corridor in the south, or will take a humongous offensive step and will attack you on all the sides. So I don't see anything new from such an ultimatum, and also I don't know where they'll find the potential to follow through. And also the other question would be, where would he got that information from? Who had fed him that? In parallel to that, there is Shoigu showing up on the screens and showing up where they'll do the offensive. Then somebody in Eastern Europe also acquired that Russia may start the offensive. And then there are more voices on the Russian side that we have not really started yet. If you do not sit down at the table, we'll continue hitting and we'll just destroy you all. So now a question, if you're so dangerous and you have all that potential, why do you need us to sit down at the table to discuss anything with you, if you can smash us like that? If we go back to the previous peace accords, they were saying that Minsk I and Minsk II accords were written because Russia expressed its goodwill to conclude any military action. And there was no goodwill. In essence, Russia just sat down at the table and put to writing new borders by the end of each of those offensives, to write in paper that this is the new border. There was no real goodwill. There was literally, they ran out of steam every time. Russian troops could not proceed any further. They were stopped by Ukraine volunteer battalions, and they sat down and put that to paper, their new borders. So I think right now they're looking at the same situation. They got to the plateau. War is turning into an issue. Tactically, it's still all right. They're still trying to push and advance. Operatively, it's questionable. They might still move forward a little and capture a couple villages, but strategically, they already ran out of steam. They cannot create a situation where they can have a higher battle worthiness and actually capture more or achieve other goals. So right now, situation will start slowly turning and changing the favorite. So they'll be losing from this high point on. And that means that Any ultimatum is a discussion, is a trade. Power that can proceed with offensive will never go and talk to the table and talk peace. This power will continue fighting. Any power that goes back to the table means that they need to sit down and talk, and that's what it indicates. That's, remember, at the beginning of war, since the first day, 24th of February, they were already going to sit down and discuss situation with us, because back then they also realized that things are not going as planned. Today was another fake data that Russia is planning to shoot 48 missiles, and I think the head of Ivano-Frankovsk administration, or somewhere there, I don't quite remember which one of them, he actually did go down in the basement. Many people drank heart medicine, but that day when Russia can use 48 missiles, it will never come back again. Maybe in the very first couple days was the only time when they could have shot that. So all this fake data, all these attempts to shake our boat is one of the surest indications that the story is slowing down. They still continue to pressure on the battlefield. Operatively, they're still full at force attacking, but on the high level, they understand they're at a plateau, a dead end. Russian army will never be stronger than it was a month ago in this conflict. These perspectives are unacceptable to them, they understand it, and they want to buy maximum right now, when they're sort of at the top, and put it to paper. Hold us, otherwise it'll be more dangerous. Alright, show us what can you show. And that's there, we have not started yet. They're trying to fearmonger the opponent side and try to push through their current territories that they captured. And they also continue with missile terror to keep a certain degree of heat in the press. And missile terror is a complex operation. It is a complex psychological operation to impress the ones that are making decisions here in Ukraine and also impress guys in the West. But the thing is, we are not afraid of you. Entirely, completely. We don't care, one way or another. We have a plan, and the plan is that we'll bury you all here. Everyone who is responsible for this war with Ukraine will find you and will bury you. And I can say from my personal experience, and this is my personal view, me, Olexiy Arestovych, clearly defines people of Russia versus Kremlin regime. When we say we'll bury the responsible ones, this is Kremlin regime. We understand that people of Russia, there are different people there, there are many of them who are opposed that war. So you guys will figure out and restore the order back after. But we will find those in Kremlin who are responsible for these atrocities. You can mobilize things, you can remove Rogozin, put him back. We have our own plan, and we'll continue implementing it with our friends. Hello from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and other countries. Oh, don't rush so far, Olexiy. We'll discuss these steps as well. We have over 200,000 people watching us live. About 60,000 already left their likes. You know, I don't think they're listening to you though, because if they did, we would already have about 200,000 likes, and we still don't. Let's take a look at the map. They did mention offensive on the south. What can they advance with? But okay, let's do the proper. Let's take a look at Kharkiv. Nobody understands what they will use in the south. As for Kharkiv, there is some troops there. There is 80th Motorized Brigade that came from the north, 1 battalion tactical group that might add their forces to Kharkiv. They're trying to push near Russian Stishki, near Chernovaya, near Dementiv and Sosnovka. Same places, nothing changes. Tactical artillery fire. I heard this was the first night, we need to verify with Kharkiv citizens, but I think it was the first night when there were no hits in the city. Let's go down to the middle, same cities. Pretty strong group, actually, the strongest what they have now. It's not Popasna and Bakhmut, the one to the east and south. It is the one near Izum. And they're sitting there for about 100 days and cannot walk 2 kilometers. This is not something that can be put on the banner, mildly speaking, and their commanders have zero reputation after all these successful, in parentheses, movements. Nothing changed in Slavyansk, Bakhmut area. They're afraid to go for city fights. They understand these are the heaviest of losses and the best way to avoid it. And they know that we can retreat when we need to. So one thing is to capture the town and try to grind it down like Mariupol. Another story is when they encircle it or pretend that they will and wait for our troops to retreat from that city. So right now they're planning to capture it, to encircle it on the north and south, and then continue pushing on the front. But it doesn't quite work for them. Our general command continues to verbalize that they fail to achieve any success in any of those pincer movements. We also need to understand that when Donetsk and Lysychansk were the center of the fight, we did not have a long hand, a long arm like HIMARS. Now we do. So these fights take a bit of different hue, and let's see how they fare. I should remind you that Russian favorite in taking towns as usage of artillery and shelling it with 45,000 shells a day. Right now, they are not able to do that. They started splitting their warehouses, moving some artillery here and there, because on the counter-battery fight, we're pretty successful. So one can say that there is will with Russian commanders, but just like Suvorov said, you can rely on luck once or twice. But if it is the only thing you're relying on, you need to stop doing risky things. So we'll see how it goes for them. I am conservatively observant, not even optimistic or pessimistic. I'll say one scary thing that may surprise a few things, but I would still say that Russia may get some tactical advantages here and there. They have some troops, they're trying to repeat certain achievements, but as far as taking Slavyansk or Kramatorsk, I can only laugh at that for now. We'll see how that goes. All right, there is some motion near Khatorets to cut supply lines, advance a little. And Zaporozhye, there is not much happening. There is a little bit of motion there, but we'll talk about that Monday because it probably will get better shape by then. And I know some people are too nervous about my words, so this is not the motion that means that they'll take Zaporozhye. No. We'll just talk about that later when it'll be more clear. Kherson is the same. We're using artillery on their positions. Remember, Denis Dragunsky had Deniska stories, and that's exactly what's happening there. We're just polishing them from above as much as we can. We see that nothing is changing, that they got a scary order to advance, and we all are kind of curious to see what forces will they use for such an advance. We don't see them. So, what is defending Kherson? Who's defending that city? What is their number there? They have about 15 battalion tactical groups, but those are the weaker kind of them, with lesser quantities of personnel, so probably about 12 to 15,000 people. That's all that defends Kherson right now? Yes, that's all they have. To take it, how much more do you need? 3 times that? It's modern warfare. This is not how it works. It just needs HIMARS to destroy their logistics, and then all their concrete buildings that they created there, people will just have to get out of there with their hands up. Did they put mines around? Oh yeah, they put mines in there. And you understand that every minefield can be taken out. So they protected it from equipment or light infantry, or what did they do? They did dig equipment in, developed minefields around them, but it's not about equipment, it's about the will to win in the modern warfare. We'll try to make sure that there is no will to win on their side. What are land minefields? It's just engineering way to protect the flank region of defense, but somebody needs to be there to protect that minefield. And the problem is when the ammo dumps are taken out, when logistic lines are destroyed, it's really unattractive proposition to defend such a line. So with the use of HIMARS, you can demoralize a lot more. Oh, you can basically use shelling to weaken their defense? No, you can weaken their will to defend by taking out their logistics and other targets. Landmines are not too big of a deal for military. There are distance measures to demine it. You can also use personnel who can, take out these mines. Different ways to do it, so that's just a technicality. Alright, let's go to the next subject. We have been live for about 17 minutes. We have 340,000 people watching us. How many likes? We have over 130,000 likes. So 300,000, 340,000 watching us, but we only have 130,000 likes. I do not understand that. Please subscribe and like that stream. We need to keep promoting that stream. Let's make sure that Russian propagandists get real upset by our presence here. We're given all the medals by Putin. I personally will hang them when I get back to Russia after the revolution there. I know Olexiy does not confirm that. Well, Mark, I always support you, so perhaps that is what is needed. Alright, let's go further. So Reznikov, Minister of Defense of Ukraine, gave an interview to BBC. What is noteworthy in it, besides other matters discussed there, he did comment on all the subjects that we saw, that were touched upon, about the sales of arms from Ukraine, that there are all the corruptionists, and you're one of them, who are selling American and other friendly weapons to terrorists all over the world. He basically said this all is a lie. He mentioned the name of one blogger. We will not name that person. We do not promote idiots. But he said that the topic of corruption is being peddled. And we heard the same subject from Moscow, from Lavrov. Apparently, Ukraine is selling weapons to terrorists. They're not giving any evidence. They don't show where, but they keep talking about it. The thing is, he says that there are GPS tokens on all of the military equipment, so whoever wants to sell it to a third party would likely not be aware how the sale is tracked, but the manufacturer would still be able to track it to see where the equipment is. What can you say about that? Mark, this is the information warfare. We still want your input here, so they stop talking that bullshit. I think everything is interconnected. Putin's ultimatum, Shoigu's visit, publications in the West media that were selling arms here, calls to do an audit on the weapons that were received. So the main goal is they got to the plateau and they understand they're facing Western weapons like HIMARS that cannot be taken care of. So all they need to do is to recreate the media hysteria, and that's what they're aiming for.
Do you know how they catch spies? I think you know, but I'll say it for our viewers. Some people being caught by the constant systemic interest. Regardless how you mask your intentions, even a good action is always showing itself as a systemic interest in something. So here that system is sewn with white thread so you can see it. And that some people in America or some patriots, so to say, on our side are screaming and bringing these ideas to light. There is a concrete focus of slowing down or canceling Western support and pressuring Ukraine government to give up sooner than it would be going to give up. Actually, we're not going to give up at all. So this thing will not fly, it will not work, but there is definitely that threat. And we may not be the smartest people on the planet, but we do understand these interests, where they come from and how they're enveloped. So let's be very concrete here. How can one sell Caesar? It is not a needle in a haystack. How can somebody sell Caesar? That machine got to Ukraine, you guys got together and figured, okay, that one goes to you, that one goes to you, and you take this one. How can you sell one? How is it even possible? Okay, plane maybe can be flown somewhere, but what about Caesar? It might be drawn to Moldavia border, put a price tag on that, Caesar, starting price $2,500, and we're waiting for buyers to come and who say $2,500 is too expensive, rubber is worn out, the gun is probably worn out too. So if you change the gun, put a new rubber, change the AC, maybe we'll buy that for $3. And then we agree for like $50, and then it goes to there, somewhere. Where? Somewhere where? I don't know, we don't track, I guess. The way they portray us is that's exactly how we do these deals, and we don't care where they sell. And Ukraine contrabandists are overpowering for the European police, and nobody, no intel, no secret service can find out where did these things end up. So is there any track record? In reality, has there been any planes sold? I don't know, any weapons sold from these batches to Africa or somewhere? So, yeah, I guess they would assume that Caesar walks through the whole Europe, drives through Europe, through Spain, down to Africa, and all the intel agencies from states are observing that and then saying, as today's statement from Washington came, that we have not a single fact to verify that would support claim that Ukraine is indeed selling any of the weapons that were sent to them to support their war-fighting effort with Russia. So, yeah, I would claim here on this show, if anybody has any proof, send it to us. Send it to us so we can show it. But there is a nuance. Let's say, I know Zaluzhny for 28 years already. I know Reznik for 3 years. I know Yermak for about 2 years. I physically cannot imagine a situation where these people would decide to harm the defense capabilities of Ukraine. What if it's not like that? What if somebody's deceiving them? Oh, yes, so naive commanders of military of Ukraine, Minister of Defense, pure naivete, right? They would not see through that. This is definitely false argument, but it goes pretty well on the weak mental capacity, mental acuity. And do you know how you get the mental acuity weak? By shelling cities with missiles. By hitting cities and killing civilians, you can create conditions where people start believing whatever. Now you'll see in the comments to this show, somebody will type there and say that Americans are actually agreed with Ukraine power to sell that money, to sell these weapons together or share money, or they know about these facts about Ukraine power, but not to put Ukraine overall in this war in a treacherous position. They need to fend for them, to cover all these shenanigans. So all these conspiracy stuff is floating out there, yet not a single fact. And let's wrap this up. Let's say if there are any concrete evidence, bring it up, we'll show them. Until then, it's just provocations. I would say, even the main suspect here, Mark, did not feel the pressure and suggested for Ukrainian parliament to create a special commission to investigate him. To which America responded that they don't really need that. They already know the situation and they don't need anything to confirm the obvious or what they know, that these things do not exist. There is basically not a single disappearance of any equipment of knowledge on record, so there is no case. Representative of Ukraine Intel, Vladimir Skibitsky, mentioned the possibility of a strike on Crimea. He basically is following the similar sentiment from Reznik, Minister of Defense, that weapons that were given to Ukraine, including missile systems, were given with some limits to their use, or there was some agreement to their use on the territory of Russian Federation. But that's only to Russian Federation territory. Crimea is not part of it, right? Let's discuss that. Is Crimea part of Russia from the Ukrainian point of view or not? And I'm sorry, Crimea is Ukraine. Crimea Bridge. I don't really care about the bridge, the Crimean Bridge, from the high tower of Soviet communism. So whenever the first opportunity comes, whenever we get actual technical opportunity to shoot it, it will become a military target. Until we don't have this capability, we cannot. We have no sentiments. We have calculations, we don't have sentiments. Besides the populace, who very often go into emotional spectre, figuring things out, and they could react in a certain way. We have to think about the future. We have to think about the government. So we have to calculate what we can, what will be more achievable, what will bring best result. So we do have a ton of targets already available that are on the list. And by the way, Crimean Bridge, it goes over territorial waters of Ukraine. So it is in Ukraine territory. Different things may happen to it. All right. So we understand. This is basically an illegal structure built on the territorial waters of Ukraine. Remember those oil rigs in the sea captured by Russian side? What happened to them? Some trouble. Exactly. So that is likely a doom waiting for the bridge. We have over 382,000 watching us. Please share links in your social media and groups. We are continuing. So everybody was waiting for July 15th that some changes or something was supposed to come from Russia. There was no. We told them that there'll be no general mobilization or declaring a full-scale war. Why? Because they basically threw the subject down to the governors. Because Sobyanin in Moscow and all the other governors are pretty much thievery inc., stealing, and they put responsibility on their shoulders to gather soldiers for the future army and to also pay them money, the promised money by Kremlin. Where would the military system in Russia have money? The ones who do the conscription, they don't have that money if government doesn't give them. Governors, they're all stealing, so Putin basically put it on their shoulders, find ways to aggregate future conscripts and send them over to the front. There even appeared a name, Sobyanin Detachment in Moscow.
And there were people in Russia just a few years ago or a few months ago were saying that Sobyanin is not too bad. There are not too many Z letters in Moscow. He's not really out there speaking for war. But at the same time, here is Sobyanin detachment. They renamed, he actually ordered to rename the squares in front of the embassies of Britain and US, the Democratic Republic of Lugansk and Donetsk. So, as we see, there is not going to be a general mobilization, at least right now. And we do have a lot of people from Russia watching this stream who are generally concerned that if they'll be sent to this war, they likely will become a puddle of ash somewhere near Bakhmut. So, Mark, this whole motion is just an attempt to maintain their totalitarian regime. They finding creative ways to bend their governors over and make them responsible partly for army refitting and getting more people to the front. So they basically, I think that's where it goes to, is that in those regions, the governors figured out that they will likely be first picking the active ones, those who are the pain in their butt. So they're trying to solve that matter, that problem of active Russian opposition in the country, that they'll conscribe them and throw them to the front. So there's got to be some interesting commotion between the governors and the powers and the regions, because people are not all of them, especially the active ones, they are against being sent to die. So there'll be interesting dynamics there. And another moment that we can deduce from all that is basically setting this target for each of the regions, each of the governors to send a detachment to the front. It is essentially a mobilization effort without being one, because they don't have authority to really gather people. They're afraid they cannot. And they're putting it on the shoulders of governors, therefore, to punish them for lack of activity, and they do realize that the whole country will not go supporting them. I do not see... Do you see them eventually degrading to the point where they announce full mobilization? I don't think so. I do not see how they will get there from where they are now. They don't have a lot of other things. They don't have a lot of weaponry. Because imagine they gathered 5 million people and they throw them all to the front. They need to be given some machine guns. They need to be fed. They need to be dressed. You were saying they'll send them to the war, to the grinder. I mean, you probably know it better being in Russia, but having lived in Russia, but I think they'll at least get some... they need to give them some weapons, right? You don't throw them to the front without anything. So you need some ammo, you need some, it may be an old AK, you need a helmet, you need a canteen. They don't have all that. They don't realize, they may run out of boots. Or whatever kind of boots they have now. Yeah, they'll run out of those. And by the way, there are already a lot of videos with Russian soldiers stealing shoes from dead Ukrainians when they can. This is actually one of the worst things on the front. There are military stories and some standards that you don't steal that from a dead body. So are they those shoes that the Russian troops have been seeing, those boots, Ukrainian boots, are they NATO? No, they're Ukrainians. We made them, but they're not too comfortable. They're not super high quality, but you know, in Ukraine, one can order American-type shoes from stuff like Amazon and get them by mail. Whatever Russians coming here wearing, these are 1994 model shoes. Oh yeah, these are exactly manufactured in '94 probably as well. So yeah, when we saw them in this uniform, that really bad quality winter uniform, and those shoes in bad weather, we realized that Russian leadership wants to destroy Russian army, or like half of them, just by throwing them in the bad weather. And that's what happened when they were fighting and they had access to dead bodies and stuff. They started pulling shoes off from dead bodies of opponents. And in military folklore and just traditions and stuff, this is a really, really bad action to do. And yeah, as the saying goes, if you take shoes from the dead, you'll lie down in them forever, and you'll have to go back to the other side to give them back to the original owner. We've been live for 36 minutes almost. The subject of Biden's trip, we touched it before, and today there are a couple of statements, and even experts on our channel said that there are not too many perspectives, not too many emotions that he can succeed in, but apparently he is succeeding in convincing Saudi Arabia to pump more oil, which will make it more painful for Russia to sell their crude. So they increased from 10 to 13 million barrels per month. And they're pretty disciplined, so if they promise, they likely will keep it up. And so far as I understand, the visit goes all right for Biden. Probably not making Iran and Moscow too happy, but in general, there is an appearance, or there is a consideration that Democrats are not too successful in negotiating with Middle East countries, but apparently the war changed some things. And they're also trying to address some of the food issues to counter Putin's blackmail with limiting food access to the world market. So what do you think? Any words on that? Well, first of all, they are trying to take off that oil chain that Putin threw on the neck of the world. And they're alleviating that pressure. And Saudi Arabia and Jordan, they've always been basically in good relations with Ukraine. During Zelensky's rule, he actually managed to somehow establish good relations with Middle East countries, a bunch of them. Just personally, I guess it's the force of his personality. There is a tourist relationships, there is some economic connections that we work on some projects with, and also food that we give to that region. There was a good interest in that supply. So in the framework that Biden is trying to push, there were interesting agreements about Israeli jets flying over certain territories, about certain bridges with Egypt. One needs to understand, without going too deep into the weeds there, that they're basically trying to build a coalition of Israel and king's dynasties of Middle East against Iran and Syria, and that is built on certain actions and certain steps, which generally is not a benefit or not a good flow of things for Putin and his cohort. It basically means that Russian influence on the Middle East is decreasing, becoming weaker than it was before. And there definitely is some logic in this process that is not favorable for Putin's regime. And I understand Venezuela is also somewhat joining that game with increasing oil supply. Venezuela got not the best oil, but and they're under sanctions, but America is trying to figure out what is acceptable. And I also heard that China also participating in some of these negotiations. So Russia is being controlled not to be able to use pricing policies to get more money to somehow benefit from this industry. So this is kind of a slow pressure of Russia out of their unquestionable leadership or soft or comfortable position on the oil market. What is inspiring here is the tempo, the pace of things changing. So Germany switched from 40% Russian gas to 25. This is a very big tempo. So that is interesting. And we understand that this is summer. If it was winter, likely there would be a crisis in some shape, and it's still sort of on the horizon. Also, looking back at that, thinking that attacking us at 23rd of February was a bad, planning to attack us around that time was a horrible idea, because they were already running out of options to use energy market to pressure Europe into certain decisions. So, idiots, as I said. Anyway, we're running out of time of this stream. Tomorrow we're taking a day off. Monday will be our next cast. We, as I said, started merch in Ukraine. So, if you're living in Ukraine, you want to get some of our custom print shirts, here they're available. There are also similar shops available in the description of this video for Europe and for United States. Oh, we also, my team mentioned for you, Mark, add kitchen aprons with that. They said you can become billionaires if we add kitchen aprons with our mugs on them. Well, that would be good, except for we're not aiming to becoming billionaires. We want to just gather the funds to support victims and people who suffered during this horrible war. So we can help others. Exactly. If we had 10 billion, we would give all 10 billion. Money is not what they used to be, right? Back when I was younger, money meant a lot for me. For looking good, picking up new friends in the bar. Right now, no, we're kind of a different time of our lives, and money doesn't mean that much. So let's print some aprons, sell more merch, and try to help as many people and families as we can. We're not even directly involved in that. We're basically giving money to the valid causes as we go. We're trying to help. And subscribe to us, subscribe to Olexiy Arestovych, subscribe to the Privateer Station. Bye, Olexiy. Everybody, goodbye.